Welcome to Washington East to West Sports on the Eli Sports Network. This is episode 5. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside by my brother Sean Beatty and Kevin Aradal. And guys, I have the worst fantasy football team in our league. I'm about to drop to 0-3, but good news, the Seahawks won 38-31, and I had Tyler Lockett in 2 of my leagues. That was beautiful. I was hoping he'd get to 6 touchdowns, but unfortunately he did not. But it's still a pretty good fantasy day. Initial thoughts on the Seahawks yesterday, guys?
Well, my team is 3-0, and the Seahawks are 3-0, so I'm doing great.
I have 2-1 officially because Patrick Mahomes.
It's hard to go against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and then 0-3 in another league. So, hell yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into wrap up a sports season that was shortened. Wasn't even sure if it was going to happen, but let's talk a little baseball. I mean, I guess it's not over. It's over for the Mariners. That's probably more specific. Mariners final standings 27-33, third in the AL West. We're trying to catch Houston, just could not quite do it in the end, and Houston ended up taking the number 6 seed. I'm going to ask, let's go to Kevin first. Overall thoughts on the Mariners this season?
Kind of like what I mentioned in the last podcast. I'm happy with it. My expectations were kind of, met. I expected them to kind of be competitive a little bit, but at the same time, a lot of our wins came from a sinking ship known as the Texas Rangers. Though we did have some good glimpses against a young Padres team and a couple others, we kind of did okay against the A's. And we had our first series win of Houston in 2 minutes? I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
So that's positive. The main things to look forward in the future, because one, the bats are starting to warm up a little bit. A lot of players kind of cleaned some things up, like J.P. Crawford was looking better at the bat toward the end of the year. Evan White was getting a little bit more contact, even though his average for the year was still not great. We did see some good pop, and hopefully he just kind of needs to be a little bit smarter with his swinging and swinging at better pitches and stuff, because he's got the pop there. Excuse me. And I look forward to next season, because it sounds like from what Jerry Poto says, we're going to probably see Kelnick and Logan Gilbert pretty early. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So overall, I'm content with the season.
Well, I mean, Mariners didn't, they were in the chase. So, overall, can't say it's too bad of a year. Looking at some of the stats, Kyle Lewis was one of the leaders for the Mariners with 801 OPS, and followed shortly behind by Kyle Seager at 788. And Kyle Lewis led with 11 home runs as well as 54 hits, and Seager led with 40 RBIs. Sean, what do you think of the Mariners this season?
Like Kevin said, the expectations coming into the year was not the playoffs. So for us not to make the playoffs was not a big deal for me. I wanted, as the season started, I kind of wanted us to get the first overall pick, but the young kids play well. But as the season went on and we traded guys and called up more young guys, the expectations had to change, because you couldn't have a team full of young guys and still want them to suck, but the young guys to all play well, since they're all young guys now. So I kind of wanted them to start playing a little better, and they did. Kyle Lewis really came crashing down, but that was expected. He overall had a pretty good season. Marco Gonzalez had a great year. Kind of no one's talking about that. And also Justice Sheffield's been in the running for Rookie of the Year votes too, because I didn't know this until recently. I kind of forgot he's also qualifies for a rookie still. So he was very good at the end of the year. I would say also Kikuchi showed a lot of things. His numbers don't look great, but his advanced numbers, he was super unlucky, showed a lot of improvements. Justin Dunn got a little lucky, but he was still getting the outs. So let's see what he can kind of do. They had a lot of guys. Ty France played well. Dylan Moore played well. I kind of want to see a little bit more out of Evan White and J.P. Crawford. But again, we already just talked. I just named 8 guys that played pretty well. And like Kevin said, Kelnick, Gilbert's coming. I mean, we also got a couple other guys that might be coming up too. Maybe Hancock might be coming. Trammell might be coming. Kirby might be coming. Maybe even Cal Raleigh. We got a lot of guys coming up in the next little bit that next year is probably going to be a lot more fun.
And you mentioned Marco. I mean, he had 7 wins on the team, 3.1 ERA, 64 Ks. So the Mariners pitching usually is I would say their weakest spot. So I hope that they improve that over the season. So you guys mentioned you weren't expecting the playoffs. So I mean, early look at next year. But would you give the fans the hope that there might be some playoff, not aspirations, but maybe expectations next year? Sean, what do you think?
I would say probably not quite. I don't think the full batch of young kids will be up to start the season. And maybe September, you might have most of them. Maybe Julio Rodriguez, if things go right, will be up next year. Marte probably won't be no matter what happens next year. But like most of your kids will be up by the end of the year. But I don't think you have a realistic shot until 2022. 2022, the expectation needs to be playoffs. 2021, if they make it, it's like, hey, nice. They should be in the running. They should be a little better than they were this year, but I don't think playoffs is super reasonable. Again, the rumor might be that they keep the 8-team playoffs. I mean, that would change my answer, but if it's still 5, I would say no.
Okay. Kevin, what about you? You got playoff expectations, or are you tempering them for next year?
To kind of go on a little thing that Sean mentioned, it's also going to depend on what they keep from this year, and how the season looks like next year, if we get a full season or not. Because in a shortened season with more of what we've seen here, possibly we could. If it's a longer, like normal season, probably, as I agree with Sean, likely not.
I was anticipating a full season. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with
So
Kevin.
we have some things, a stat that's kind of crazy that people don't even realize with Marco. I didn't get to see what his start was on Sunday, but going into Sunday, Marco only had 6 walks on the year. Like, that's crazy. Like, and he lowered his ERA by pretty much a point, like a whole, like, yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see. I think because one, we need some bullpen pieces still, but I think as the young pitchers come up more, you're going to see possibly like Kikuchi go to the bullpen and trading pieces away to get bullpen stuff. That still needs to be a thing. Defensively wise as well, there's some things. But yeah, I would say probably if it's a shortened season or if they expand the playoffs like they had this year, there's a shot. But I wouldn't be disappointed if they didn't make it. But 2022, yes, you should most definitely.
So, we have the playoff picture. It's a 16-team format this year. I'm just going to read off the bracket here for everybody in case they don't know. So in the American League, it's 1 versus 8, all the standard bracket. The Rays, the top seed, they take on the Blue Jays. Number 2, the Oakland A's take on number 7, Chicago White Sox. Number 3, the Minnesota Twins take on number 6, Houston Astros. Come on, Twins, let's get it. Number 4, Cleveland Indians versus number 5, New York Yankees. And then the National League, you've got the top seeded Dodgers taking on the Brewers in the first round. You've got number 2 Braves taking on the Cincinnati Reds. You've got number 3 Chicago Cubs taking on Miami Marlins. And you've got number 4, the San Diego Padres taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. So who wants to give their World Series prediction here first? Sean?
Make Kevin go.
Kevin,
gosh,
okay.
Fine. No, I'll go. So you said gross for the Astros. I say gross for a lot of teams in the American League. Screw the Yankees. But I say the Dodgers in the National League. I mean, I think that one's pretty obvious. Will be most of our guesses. But I keep coming back to either Tampa Bay or the White Sox in the American League. I'm gonna say White Sox.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that with their pitchers and everything like that, they're really good. But Tampa Bay is a sleeping giant that people seem to ignore. They're a very good team too.
I mean, the fact that because I really have only been looking at Mariners. I've been really looking around the league of fantasy, which I won this season. Chance to see it, by the way.
There's an asterisk with that. I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, but the fact that I saw the Tampa Bay's as the number 1 seed was kind of like, whoa. But they do have some sneaky talent on that team, and people should not underestimate them in the playoffs. As far as actually, I'm gonna stick with my pick. I don't know. Actually, I might not too, because one, The Cubs pitching is really good right now. Like Darvish and Kendricks are pitching out of their damn minds. But I'm going to stick with the Braves actually. This for my pick from the National League. I think they'll upset the Dodgers in the. And then out of the AL is kind of a mess. I'm going to either say I'm going to go spicy here. I'm going to either say Minnesota, which I know Matt will like, or Cleveland.
Okay.
There's a lot of pop. There's a lot of pop going on right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the series I want to see is the Padres versus the White Sox because those are two teams who, usually aren't in the playoffs, especially in this last decade. So that would be a cool series to see.
The White Sox have won one this.
They have
like,
been so bad, but after that,
Tampa Bay hasn't won one. Like, what? You're
just let me have my prediction here. Okay. Well, you just let me have it. But my actual prediction is going to be the A's and the Dodgers. I think it's going to be an all-California World Series.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the A's break through this year. I mean, they've been consistently good the last 3 years, so I think they finally break through. And then the Dodgers are always good. Do I think the Dodgers are going to win this year? No. I think the A's are going to be the World Series champions this year. That's personally what I think. I think the Dodgers are going to
pull it off.
I mean, Dodgers cannot seem to get it done. So I am going to let history repeat itself once again, and the AL champion will be the Oakland Athletics and the World Series champion. And I also just wanted to share because I don't know if anybody's seen the 2020 Astros Shame Tour Twitter page, how the Astros averages in 2017 are nowhere near what their averages are right now. So, I mean, I don't know many people who are rooting for the Astros, but you got to be really rooting hard against the Astros this year. I mean,
but
right?
To be fair, hitting is down across all of baseball. It's not the Astros. Look at the Oakland A's, your boys. Like they are not hitting well as a team right now either. So,
well, pitching wins in the postseason. We know that. So
as we mentioned before too, and Sean will agree with this. Average doesn't mean shit. On base percentage does. Like really, I mean, we can pull up Brad Pitt's video of him snapping. Being like,
can he get on base?
He gets on base.
Their OPS is not great either, though, Kevin. I will say that though. All their OPS.
But I mean, they are back in the playoffs, even though it took an expansion to get them there.
I would say the reason they didn't do as well was they were bit by the injury bug harder than anybody else.
I mean, they didn't have Verlander for the whole damn year.
Altuve got hurt. Springer got hurt. Bregman got hurt. They lost the rookie of the year. Tucker didn't play to start the season. Their number 6 starting pitcher to start the season is their number 2 right now. Like, they are just –
and they can't steal signs anymore because people are watching them, so that makes it even harder.
Well, I mean, half of baseball steals signs, but, yeah, that's fine.
Yes, that's true.
The Yankees do. They got called out in the same report. The Red Sox, half the teams do. Like, it's ridiculous, but, yeah.
Aaron Judge.
Judge? Are you throwing him under the bus right now?
There's a video of him literally stealing signs.
Like, they literally caught him on TV doing it. He's like, no.
What was his name? Carlos Beltran's quote when he went to the Astros was come from the Yankees was you guys are so far behind the rest of baseball in stealing signs. This is not an Astros problem. This is a baseball problem.
I mean, if everybody's doing it, I don't really see the problem, but
I mean, yep.
Aren't you
Logan Morrison by name called out the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Twins, like all for stealing signs the same year the Astros did. So I'm just saying, like, I agree that I do not like the Astros. I'm not defending what the Astros did, but to only shame them for stealing signs, which half of baseball does, is like, okay, let's be real here.
Yeah, I guess it's the whole college.
The Red Sox got caught using technology too, and no one cares. Like they literally got caught doing it.
Well, yeah, I guess, but
they straight up did.
But I feel like it's different for the Astros because they played the whole we're rebuilding and doing that whole farm system stuff. But then it turns out they're just. I mean, I don't know how much.
You think those players are only good because they probably stole signs for?
I'm not saying they're only good because of that, but that certainly helps, right?
What about the report that came out that said it didn't help them that much? Actually, when they broke it down,
I mean, you still know it's coming. It's a lot easier to hit something when you know it's coming, is it not?
You don't. That was the problem. What the report said. They didn't always know it was coming. They got it wrong a lot of the times. The teams knew that they were doing it and would change the signs.
Well, I mean, in baseball, you only need to get 30% of the things right to be good. So
It's true.
as long as you hit on it a few times, that's all you need.
But like the curveball coming doesn't tell you where the curveball is.
I suppose that's true.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, at least we can watch the Astros go down.
Yeah,
Go
I want the Twins to win.
I mean, let's go Twins, and hopefully we get some good baseball and a champion that's not offensive, like the Yankees or something like that.
That's
But
disgusting.
let's move on to some National Football League. So, as we all watched yesterday, Kevin a little bit later than everyone else, but still watched the game, and it was 38-31. Another close game by the Seahawks once again, and I'm very happy my prediction was not correct. I'm sure Kevin feels the same way, but let's kind of talk.
I was.
Yeah, I'm fine with being wrong on this one. So I'm going to throw it to Sean first. Let's start with just looking at the offense. I mean, what did you think of the offense in this game?
Well, I mean, Russ is perfect, baby. Like perfect. In the second half, he got a little was thrown behind a couple guys, but that's just nitpicking. I mean, for the most part, they were great. They ran a couple second and long plays, which were kind of frustrating, but they let him cook and they're doing the thing, and Russell is rewarding them. He threw for 5 more touchdowns. What more can he do, honestly? I mean, it's this simple. The offense looks great.
So I just want
Carson getting hurt. Well, we'll get to Carson a little bit, but yeah, offense looks great.
I'm gonna throw out the stat line. Russell was 27 of 40, 315 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times for 20 yards. Chris Carson, 14 carries, 64 yards, did leave the game because of a play we will talk about. And then on the receiving side, everybody seemed to be getting on the act. DK, 4 for 110 and 1 touchdown. Should have been 2. We'll definitely talk about that. Yeah. And then Tyler Lockett, 9 catches, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Greg Olsen had 5 catches for 61 yards. Freddie Swain had a catch for 13. Chris had 3 for 12. And then you got to go down the list. So Russ spreading the ball out a little bit. We did have a little bit of fumbling issues. DK and David Moore both had one. But we did have a fumble recovery from Benson Mayowa, so that was nice to see from the defense. And then the defense struggled, to say the least. Shaquille Griffin was a leading tackler with 11 tackles. KJ Wright had 10 tackles as well, 2 for loss. And Bobby Wagner was up there with 9. So, Kevin, I'm going to throw it for you to the defense. What did you think of the defense?
So, surprisingly, in the first half, I was kind of shocked at the amount of pressure they were getting on Dak, and actually kind of in the last drive too a little bit. Even though they only got 2 sacks on the game, the pressure was kind of better than what I expected. There was a lot of different kind of blitz packages that were thrown in there that I don't think they were expecting, which they should be, because that's all we can really do to get after the pass, after the quarterback has to do random blitzes that we just don't expect. Defensively, as we saw, there was a lot of injuries. I had to work Sunday, so I watched the condensed version when I got off. And I noticed right away that Trey Flowers was in and not Langston Martin. And I was like, oh, God, this is going to be bad. And it was bad, especially calling out Trey Flowers on the pick that he should have had, playing juggle in the air and then just gives it to Gallup. Like that would have sealed the game pretty much right then. And then there goes Russ in the red zone. Yeah, the injuries with Jamal Adams and hopefully I imagine Lance Dunbar should be good coming back. And then who else did we lose? Brooks is going to be out for a couple weeks. So
I think it's on the I think that's it so far.
Yeah, so I imagine Barton should be starting, but because I saw a little bit of Shaquem in there at linebacker, which I'm not really happy with.
They said that Barton is going to start.
Well, thank God, because I love Shaquem because he showed some pretty decent rushes from what I saw. I haven't got to look at the coach tape yet, but he looked okay going after the quarterback. He didn't get to the quarterback.
Isn't that exactly what I said? Play Cody Barton at linebacker and play Griffin at rushing the passer. That's what they need to do. Do not switch those two things.
I'm kind of sad because I want to see what we have in Brooks, which I think later on we eventually will once he comes back from injury. But because I know we kind of know we got Barton. There could be more to it, hopefully, in year 2. I'd like to see that. That'd be nice. But yeah, there with the injuries, this defense is pretty much just it's like a screen door trying to stop somebody getting in. Like they're gonna just it's just a matter of time. It's just slowing them down enough to where Russell can just keep putting touchdowns on the board. Enough to where like Russell can just over. And just if they keep getting like at least a turnover a game, hopefully that allows for Russell to put up enough points to where they can't catch up. So.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, it wasn't great, but I mean, they did have some turnovers. They had some big sacks when they needed to. So, like we said in the beginning, the defense hasn't been good. It's been good enough. And I think that's kind of what we got to expect in this first 3 weeks of sample. I mean, that's at least as far as I'm concerned. Like, you guys might have a different opinion, but it seems like it's going to be hard for us to stomp on teams because we had a 15-point lead in this game and just it evaporated very quickly. So I have confidence in our defense to make the final stop, but I don't have confidence outside of that at this point because so far they've made the final stop, but they can't make any other stops.
I would attribute that more to luck that they randomly stopped them at the end versus like
I'm okay with luck.
Well, again, but luck runs out. Like, you need the talent to win out eventually. Like, you cannot give up 550 yards to the Cowboys. You cannot make Cam Newton look like a throwing MVP. Like, at some point, we've got to get some pressure on somebody. And I agree. Right now, it's fine, Matthew. Yeah, it's because, like Kevin said, a great offense and a great quarterback will make up for a lot of things. But at some point, the defense will have to start making plays, and at this point, they haven't shown that they will start making those plays.
I think. Sorry, Kevin. Go ahead.
Because really, other than going down the schedule in my head, other than like Goff and Kyler, of course, you're not really seeing like a top. We're not playing a top tier quarterback like Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar this year until like playoffs. But when it comes to playoffs and we're going to play in Aaron Rodgers, like, then you're going to see that. Like, if Aaron Rodgers just goes down the field with ease, then, yeah, then you're going to see the defensive woes of, oh, crap, we should. So.
But you will face some very efficient offenses, though. That's the thing. Like the Rams
we
and the
have
49ers.
faced 3 pretty decent offenses. Matt Ryan and the Falcons offense is no slouch, especially with Julio in the lineup. And then Cam and that new look offense, it's working for them for the most part. They beat the other.
They've run it though. We made them look like a passing team.
Well, you can throw on us. It's clear you can throw on us. And then Dak and the Cowboys. Yeah. They've got a solid offense, so you knew they were going to score points. I didn't think they were going to hold them. And as our predictions reflected, I didn't think we were going to hold them under 30. So I think it was pretty much the game script we all expected. Let's take a look at a couple of plays here. I'm going to share my screen here. So this first play, Sean has been harping on Tyler Lockett being the best receiver. I think we already know that, but I think this play just kind of highlights it a little bit more. So this is the first touchdown. And when you kind of watch this play develop, it's really interesting to see how he gets behind the defense. It's like there's 2 guys running a route here. Like, that's the crazy part is there are only 2 guys running a route. And you got 4 guys back here to cover him. You could have just have these 2 guys take on Tyler and these 2 guys take on DK. But they just don't do that, and they just somehow seem to let him go by. And I don't know why you seem to let Tyler Lockett go by you like this. 3 guys back here. 3 guys, and he just –
safety that he just passed is the one who screwed it up. He's supposed to go with him.
And it's just it's crazy how DK got – it looks like this guy – and I'm not annotating right now. Looks like this guy and this guy suck into DK, and then this guy is caught flat-footed. He's gone, and it's just an easy touchdown for Tyler. Which, as a Tyler Lockett fantasy owner, it was. And look, 10 yards in front of him. And when we'll get to the DK play, do you feel like that's what DK saw when he caught his pass? He's like, "Oh, I'm definitely wide open." No need to
I
worry
just see
about
your
this.
666 on the screen. That's all I
Yeah.
see right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One's on a butt cheek.
yeah.
Grab
But
him.
Hold on, let me clear
I
that. Let me clear that. Okay.
I think that what the biggest thing that's happening here is what the analytics will show that you don't need an effective running game to actually bite on the play action, but they clearly all bite on the play action. And you give the safety just stops for a split second, and that's all Tyler needs going at full speed to go by you. Like that safety probably realizes like, oh crap, I got to cover him, but it's way too late at that point. Like you have to run with Tyler from step one, or he's going to beat you, and he beat him.
This game kind of showed that when you don't respect Tyler Lockett, he shows what he's going to do.
He's going to eat you alive.
Because everybody's just all on this DK train, and I get it because he is a athletic freak and he's a dynamic tool, but he's just not. He doesn't have the experience.
He's
I am going to bring in the best
he's
of
not as
times and the worst of times here. This
he's
is
not
the
as
DK play.
he's not as complete
Yes.
as DK, but or as Tyler, but he can get there, but he's just not yet.
So like they need defenses need to start respecting Tyler more and covering. But that's the problem though, because eventually if you double triple Tyler, then DK.
This is what happened on this play. Single coverage.
And this is why the Seahawks are so scary if that offense stays healthy. Like, then it's just who the hell do you cover? Because other people are like Swain's looking pretty decent. Like every game he just has a nice 1 or 2 catches. Like he's looking solid. Ray Golson's a good veteran. We all know what Disley can do. And then if Josh Gordon gets to this offense, God help the league.
Yeah.
God help the league. That's all I'm gonna say. If Josh Gordon ever gets to this offense.
I mean, like you said, Sean, man coverage, but, this looks like this safety is just playing right here. He is not going back. And I don't know what this safety is doing. Is he trying to spy on just this side of the field? It looks like that's what he's doing, but it looks like he's kind of waiting for Tyler to kind of break towards him up this way. So that way you've got DK one-on-one on the outside. And as we're going to see, he definitely beats him once he gets that move. Gets him going outside.
It's not even really a great move. He just kind of half throws it and still beats him anyways.
So then the throw comes and he's open. And at this point, you got to be thinking DK thinks he's gone because, he does have separations, but at the same time,
he has to come back a little bit for it.
He does have to come back a little bit for it. So he catches it and then he, kind of relaxes and whoops. Now, granted, I think the fumble out of the back of the end zone on this play in particular as a touchback is kind of ridiculous, but that is the rule. So you need to be aware and just hold it. I mean, we've seen Deshaun Jackson, we've seen a bunch of guys do it. So
I've heard a podcast way before this about that rule. What would you call that play then?
I think it would have to be I would probably say if it's a fumble out of the back of the end zone, you get the ball back at where you started. Because I don't think you could get the gain of yardage and call it legitimate if the fumble goes out of the other
Should you get it on where the touchback would be, so you get on the 25? The opponent's 25? Like, you just go back 25 yards? Because a bomb like that, you're losing it. Because you get the yards, like you said, and then you lose the touchback yards, but you still retain the football. Because it works two ways. Like, he fumbled technically, but in a normal fumble where you fumble out of bounds on the sideline, you still retain the football because no one else gained possession. But it is in the end zone, so you can't just get it on the one. So you've got to go somewhere in the middle.
Well, that's tough because remember what was it a couple of years ago when KJ batted it out of the back of the end zone for a touchback? Yeah. And that was illegal batting, but that's neither here nor there. The fact that he was aware of the fact that he could do that and he would give the Seahawks the ball, I think that's your problem. Now, granted, should they have called illegal batting? Absolutely, but
I mean, it rarely comes up that regard.
Yeah,
true. But where a defensive player is swatting it intentionally.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's I don't know about the 25 because if you're at the goal line and it's fumbled out of the back of the end zone, that
which is funny because on a punt, if you just do that or run out of bounds, it's a safety.
Yeah.
Which, what makes it different? But anyways.
Honestly, though, I kind of liked it because it was a hard pill to swallow for DK because he knew he effed up. and it costs it like literally. That's kind of almost. I'm not going to say that's game over right there, but that's pretty much game over if he makes that touchdown. Like,
Oh yeah. Like we're not talking about a close game. We're not. That last drive doesn't happen.
You remember that 15-point lead of 30 to 15? That would have been a 37 to 15 lead. Like who gives a crap if they get back to 30? You're still up by a touchdown at that. And
then I feel a lot better about this.
Well,
then I could say
it would just be like the Atlanta game then. I mean, that's what exactly.
No, then I could say then I could say it's garbage time. But now I've seen 2 games where it's not garbage time and their defense is still moving.
And then
at least I could lie to myself if it was garbage time.
Now this is the sack for rookie Alton Robinson. But go ahead, Kevin. Sorry, I just wanted to play it while you're talking.
And this is why it has to be cleaned up with the defense, because in games later on in the playoffs, when you're not going against Dak Prescott, even though that offense is somewhat respectable, but at the same time it's being coached badly. When you're going against an Aaron Rodgers, against Patrick Mahomes, those type of mistakes with a bad defense like that, you cannot. You're probably not going to be able to come back.
I would say Dak is in that class. Dak is very good.
He is.
I mean, it was a one bounce game for this.
But because especially with that receiving core, like he should be shredding people.
And he did. He did us.
He did. Yeah, and he should be doing to others too. He still has a little bit of jitters because like in the times that we showed him getting rushed, like he was kind of freaking out a little bit. But even Russell kind of shows that too a little bit. Like Russell does his little dip down, like he's just going to take the sack even though he's not even under pressure.
Yeah. Gets happy feeling it too.
But with the coaching and them wanting to feed Zeke because they paid him, I think that's going to hold them back a little bit. They should let Dak cook.
Yeah.
To be honest, because that receiving core is stupid good.
And throw it to Ezekiel, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, right here, he definitely should have checked it down to Zeke.
I want to talk about Robinson in this regard. I just don't want to, for a while, talk about freaking 38-year-old Cameron Wake. I don't want to talk about Clay Matthews. We spent some resources on some picks on guys. Can we play them? Like, can we play Alton Robinson? Can we play Griffin and try to see if they can rush the passer? Griffin graded out very well as pass rush.
Hold on. On this play, as you can see, I think he drops back into middle linebacker cover 2. I mean,
I don't really want to see that, but I'm like, at least like
right here.
Well, because they're kind of playing prevent at this point. They're only rushing 3. They're just playing prevent. But what I want to see mostly is like let the guys who are already on the team that you invested some picks in play. Versus, like, I don't want to bring in, like, 38-year-old guy who was a good 10 years ago or Clay Matthews who really hasn't been good for a couple years. Like, let the guys you invested time in play, and if not, then we can start kicking the tires on these old vets. But don't bring in an old guy when you don't know what the young guy is.
Yeah. Alton Robinson in his first game got a sack.
Play him more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the point of going to get a Clay Matthews who doesn't know your defensive book? Even though he played with you at USC, but your shit has changed so much. Like, I get it because they want the USC connection and all that stuff, and
he's just a name, but like he's gonna be way more expensive. And let the kid you drafted play. You invested capital in him. Use it. Like he's on your team already.
The only one I'm okay with, and if it's at a cheap price, would be Snacks. Because it helps with the run stop. Even though their run stopping was pretty, like they made Zeke look really bad in front.
It's what we talked about before. If you're up by a bunch, they had to come back, and they really weren't trying very hard to establish the run.
That was one thing I was wrong about last week. I'm actually very impressed with how they stopped the run. Like they pretty much made Zeke look like nothing. It was very impressive. I hope they kind of build on that.
I think they're trying to stop the run and make the other team one-dimensional. The problem is when they make the other team one-dimensional, they haven't been able to stop the other dimension.
Yeah, exactly. Because
they're kind of selling out.
Do it, but at the same time, there's no pass rush. So that's like we've already mentioned. Stuff breaks down if there's no quarterback pressure, and no matter how good that secondary is, somebody's going to get open. And especially with that group of receiving cores, that receiving core group.
Yeah, as people also. Yeah. Who say Dak should have had 3 picks. Dak should have only had 2. The Flowers one should have been caught, but this one's just a Hail Mary at the end of the game. You just got to throw it in the end zone. It's not real.
The fact he stayed on his feet was impressive alone, and then he's quickly was trying to make a play downfield.
Yeah.
And also, can we watch Robinson too here? This is ridiculous.
I'm gonna slow it
Like,
down here.
just put it on the ground. Like, I don't know how this chick doesn't get called right here. Keep going. Keep going. Just hold it. Yep. Put him on the ground and hold him there. Wonderful.
That's a pancake, Kevin.
Yeah,
that's
that's pancake.
That's not
That's
holding.
classic pancakes.
Yeah, that's not holding.
Still.
That's when you do. When you get talked down, you're
Yeah.
taught to land on top of them. It's a pancake. They get rewarded for that.
They probably get pancakes for that. I would hope they get pancakes for that.
IHOP.
We go
Yeah.
No, they're burgers. No, just kidding. They're back to
burgers.
pancakes. They're back to pancakes now. That's stupid.
After time and practice, like I imagine, see that now Alton Robinson's going to learn from that instance. And I'm not saying he's not going to ever not get pancaked again.
But he was getting double covered. I mean, it's not a huge deal. Like,
Just
and they were only
especially
rushing
on that
3.
play, he was double covered.
They were rushing 3. Like, they had 6 blockers. Like, it's obviously they were just trying to buy time in the end zone. I will say, Kevin Ugo Amadi looked amazing. Was the only DB who even showed up to play, really.
He had, 9 tackles, 8 tackles?
Well, even then, it's not even about the tackles because you're gonna have a bunch of tackles because the defense was on the field.
He was everywhere. Like
it was swatting balls,
good,
making the good tackles, not just the volume tackles. Like getting in people's faces, being near passes.
His stat line was 7 total tackles and 2 passes defended. So
again, like for anybody who's played Madden and put up a billion points, your team will tackle a bunch of people when you're on the field a ton. So the volume of tackles really doesn't mean a whole lot for this defense because they're going to get a lot because they're going to be on the field a ton. It's what he was doing on top of that. Like his tackles for like when he'd come up and then get the guy for only 1 yard, or like the guy tried to the week before try to do a reverse and he came up and hit him right in the hole. Like
he stopped the screen too.
Yep. Like he has been
very
super
impressive.
good. And again, Pete Carroll, he was on your team last year. Play the guys you invested in, please. Why was Taylor starting in front of him? And you cut him after 9 weeks. Play Ugo. Like play the guys you invested in.
Even though at that time you weren't thinking of Blair being a nickel.
But again, still like play the guys you invested in. Do not get Clay Matthews. Play Alton Robinson.
Well, we are midway through episode 5 of Washington East and West Sports. We're going to take a quick advertisement break. And if you're on YouTube, welcome right back to episode 5 of Washington East to West Sports. There was no commercial. That was for okay.
What?
No,
where'd you get that shirt at?
We're going to take that shirt and we're going to burn it. Okay. So
our mom made it for me because what's up?
No, she made it because he has opinions that are usually wrong, but he has opinions.
Oh, they're always correct.
They're usually wrong.
Who picked the game right?
Okay.
All right, Sean, you got lucky once. Congratulations. All right.
I said it would come down to whoever got the ball last, and it pretty much did. And Dak almost made us pay for it too.
Dude, you didn't even watch it. I don't know what you're talking about.
let's
it really came down to the last drive. It was back and forth, even though
we all picked one-score games. Score games.
Let's get into the rest.
More than 3 times.
Let's get into the rest of the division. So I did guarantee last week that Buffalo would beat the Rams. Now, I was feeling pretty good there for like the first 3 quarters. And then Buffalo was like, oh, defense? What is that? And then they just stopped playing defense. And then Josh Allen got a very generous pass interference call in order to help them win the game. Overall, I thought that Buffalo was the better team, but did they deserve to win the game? That's up for debate. But that was a 35-32 Buffalo victory, and that was the first loss for the season for the Rams. In the great state of New York, it was not close. Even with all of the injuries for San Francisco, they rolled past the Giants 36-9. And then the more surprising result of the day in the division was Arizona falling to the Detroit Lions 26-23. And I know Sean has Kyler Murray on his fantasy team. I think he had an all right fantasy day, but not as good a day in real life football. So, Kevin, what were your impressions of the rest of the NFC West this last week?
Yeah, I was about to say generous would be a kind. I was going to say BS. It was a BS call, like if that was nowhere, it should not have been called. Like that ref should be.
Technically, it was illegal contact after 5 yards downfield. If we are going by the lay of the
not
rule
what
book,
they called.
Yeah,
they gave him more yards because it was a PI.
It still would have been a penalty.
There's a difference between like 20 yards and 5 yards. Like
this is true. It's 15 yards.
I will say Josh Allen, like because I was like, well, he went against the Jets and the Dolphins, like that's kind of easy street. But he was impressive for a half, and then for 1 minute in the fourth.
Oh, and can I just say, Aaron Donald, monster. Like, did you see a couple of those plays where he just like ripped down Josh Allen and then pulled the ball out? I know we talked about this already, but
Josh, just get rid of the ball. Stop running into Aaron Donald.
Like I said, Aaron Donald is one hand recognition for that defense. Like it's
yeah.
I
It's
will
scary.
say, I think the Rams' problem. Allen benefited from the Rams completely collapsing because they gave up a bunch of points to the Eagles last week, who tied the Bengals this week. So that secondary is like, there were multiple times where they're not covering a single person. Josh Allen's throwing to a ball where there's no one within 6 yards of him. The DBs are yelling at each other on the field or throwing their hands up. I can't blame it all on Ramsey, but I think some of it has to be Ramsey. He set the precedent last year when he started calling out his teammates.
And he got paid.
They are clearly blaming each other and don't want to take the blame for this miscommunication, and it's just like they're at each other's throats all the times. It's kind of what I'm seeing. I think
honestly,
Ramsey is tearing apart that DB room.
Soon to say, but I think the Ravens won that trade.
You think what?
I think the Ravens won that trade.
Oh yeah.
With Peterson.
With giving up that many picks too for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
and not having to sign Ramsey. Oh, easy.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good game. It shows that, I mean, the Rams are still dynamic offensively. They changed some stuff up at the half, and they were able to score some. They showed some unique.
28 unanswered points. Like
that's nothing against a really good defense. That's nothing to scoff at. That's very impressive.
Is it nothing to golf at? I said it first. I said it first.
Damn it.
Clever girl. But yeah, it's especially now think of that. Now it's against a Bills defense. Now imagine against a really terrible Seahawks defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, the 49ers, yeah, for one, we already talked about how Adam Gase should be fired and probably will if he doesn't win on Thursday night this upcoming week. Joe Judge should already be on the hot seat because they didn't have one touchdown against a secondary whose main corner they got from a hot dog stand off the bay. Like, how do you not have a passing touchdown late? Like, Daniels, it was literally pretty much.
What hot dog stands do you hang out at? That's what I want to know.
Apparently, the best one.
The DB hot dog stands.
They're only
there's just Jack 6'2" dude just hanging out at Kevin's hot dog stands.
Hey, you want a hot dog?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, he just swats dudes at hot dog stands.
Daniel Jones running down the field for 8 yards. Like, how is that going? Oh my God!
They have been outscored by 60 points in 3 games, so it's. Yeah, Kevin's right. Adam Gase is like should have been fired like a long time ago.
But Joe Judge too. Like, I mean, I know he like received a heaping pile of crap, but at the same time, like he should be able to score a touchdown against that broken of a defense.
Whenever someone tells you that you can't question an NFL coach because they know more than you, I'm gonna point to Adam Gase. Like he's ruined 2 franchises.
Yep. And now,
are you sure you can't coach better than Adam Gase?
Like, and like Joe Judge too, this past week, like he is an NFL coach who literally could not coach to a touchdown.
Could you have literally gone up there with Matt and be like, run 4 go routes every single play and got more than 9 points against that team as they are right now?
And they have weapons. I mean, they don't have like what Dallas has, but they have decent weapons.
Like Kevin was just asking for 1 touchdown, just one.
They
didn't ask him to win, just score a touchdown.
And that's like, name somebody that started in that secondary last week. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't got anything.
Exactly. Other than my hot dog vendor Steve, you don't know a dang player on there. Like, seriously. It's like chill, man. So yeah, they get a win, unfortunately. It should have been all 3 losses for everybody in the West other than us, but unfortunately they got a win. But and then the Cardinals was kind of surprising. Kyler looked human for once, which is okay. I mean, you're gonna have that. Russell has that every now and then too.
I think that's what you guys were talking about, how they look so good and everything like that. But this is still a very young quarterback, new weapons. new system that's still being implemented.
Line is still really not great.
They're gonna have some bumps, and I think that was just a bump. And they still almost won during one of the bad
I would
games.
also just like to say that DeAndre Hopkins is always open, so just throw it to him 20 times.
That's what I think that they were doing was in the second half, the Lions were like, we're just going to cover DeAndre Hopkins and literally nobody else. And then Kyler's safety net is Hopkins so far because he hasn't learned everything else yet, that he was just basically looking at Hopkins and it stopped their offense completely.
What about Larry Legend? Larry Legend's there. He's got sure hands.
He's not Hopkins. At this point in his career, he's not Hopkins.
That's true. He's not Hopkins, but he's still there, and he's still got sure hands and a lot of
I know, but
league,
like it shows you, like his safety net is Hopkins right now, and I didn't see a ton of the game because obviously it's the same time as the Seahawks game. But what they were saying was he was trying to force feed Hopkins, and the Lions were like, "We are not going to let you force feed Hopkins. You have to beat us," and they just couldn't adapt to that.
Well, he was then going to his speedy boy,
Andy Isabella.
Andy Isabella. Yeah,
yep.
He got 2 touchdowns that game.
Yeah.
Which if they start getting if he gets comfortable with him, that's kind of a scary thought of him and
I personally like him more than Kirk, so I think
he should be. He should be.
I mean, Kirk, I don't even see on this receiving box score, so I don't think Kirk is going to be a factor anymore.
Like Andy Isabella should be the 3.
He is under like football speed and like real speed is one of the fastest guys there is in the NFL. He just doesn't look at it, and you're like, oh, the combine, he just ran super fast. And we're like, oh, no big deal. But he is a burner.
On the 2 plays, he got touchdowns. He just made. So, it was nuts. But yeah, they lost by a point. It was a close game. I imagine they're going to probably rebound. I don't know who they have next week, but I imagine he's going to learn from his mistakes and probably go off.
They have Carolina next week.
Oh yeah. So and hopefully I'm not playing Sean next week because I'm the receiver of an angry, pissed off Cardinals team. So.
Well, I did have Christian McCaffrey, so it will help that I don't have Christian McCaffrey back yet.
That's okay. I mean, Mike Davis is still part of
Oh yeah.
Mike Davis did have a nice day. I want to mention a couple results that caught my eye during the Sunday yesterday. So, the Seahawks will play the Eagles. I forget what week. And San Francisco goes there next week. And I think San Francisco has another nice situation as they go and host Philly, who tied the Bengals on Sunday. And that play in overtime, the punt, play for the tie. I mean, I understand that they're right there and they could have gotten a field goal, but what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose at that point? That's what
Who was the kid they drafted in the second round? Their quarterback?
Joe Burrow?
Hurts?
No, the Eagles.
Hurts,
yeah. At what point do you start him?
They asked the question, and he said they're not even answering it. Wentz is their guy, but he has been terrible.
They do have the blanket that the NFC East is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, there is 1 and 2 teams leading that division right now.
That's a very nice safety blanket. They won the division last year, and they started off 0-2. So they could obviously do it again. I mean, Dallas is winning a division with 1 and 2 at the moment.
So is Washington. They're both 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, Washington too. They won.
They beat the Eagles. I mean, it's not like it's a huge win, but yeah.
Well, technically, wouldn't Washington have the tiebreaker because they had the division win?
Yeah, they're technically higher.
So
so 3 games in. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, at some point, I think after the next 2-3 weeks, if Wentz continues at the pace that he does, and they start getting their hole, and Dallas gets hot, you got to think about Jalen Hurts.
To be fair, their receiving core is still just trash. They have nothing.
That's what they need to do over the next.
Goddard and Ertz are solid, and
but
if they have Alshon Jeffrey, that helps a lot.
They're running out Hightower, Ward, and Deshaun years old Jackson.
He is not a million years old. He still got it. Okay.
He's 34.
If I'm the Eagles right now, if I'm the Eagles, what I would do is give Cleveland a call and offer a trade for OBJ because they don't need him. Because Cleveland's figured it out that Baker Mayfield is not an elite quarterback. He's a game manager, and they have 2 really damn good running backs. They're just going to run the ball and make Baker do it on third down. So you go get that OBJ guy and trade whatever the hell you need to get you a threat downfield for Philly. Like that's what the Eagles should do.
I think you'd be
But
more likely to get Jarvis Landry from them than OBJ.
I don't know. I
That's
heard
just me.
OBJ
But
is not wanting to be there at the moment. So,
well, OBJ
even though
doesn't want to be anywhere where he's losing, so he's not going to be happy unless he's.
They're
winning.
2-1. The Browns are.
That's
Well,
true.
Maybe
But
it's just Cleveland. I don't know. Maybe it's just Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then the other result that really stood out to me was the Packers going to New Orleans and taking down the Saints. And I believe I said on this podcast, now it's 3 weeks in, that Drew Brees is just, he's going to digress at some point. And he does not look good. He does not look good. Alvin Kamara looks very good. And my buddy Sheridan's really happy about that because he crushed me in fantasy last week with Alvin Kamara. But, that offense is not as solid as it – obviously they were missing Michael Thomas, and that hurts
That's
quite a bit.
That's a pretty important thing.
That's a pretty important thing, but there are still other guys you can throw to, and Alvin Kamara can apparently take a screen pass 50 yards. So I don't necessarily think that it's all Michael Thomas being absent.
Yeah, but we're still so early in the year. The Bears are undefeated still, so let's settle down. The Falcons have blown 3 monster leads, or 2, but there's still a lot of time. But yeah, they don't look great, but it's still
I said it was early.
This game is, and it's gonna be a little funky, especially with this year with very limited camp and no preseason. It's gonna get a little funky early. So, but yeah, the Saints kind of need to. Breeze and Emmanuel Sanders have no chemistry right now, and they need to figure that out real fast.
And the thing is, because I have him in our league, I sat him because he did nothing against Las Vegas, and then of course he gets a touchdown.
But still, even with the touchdown, he wasn't.
Yeah,
he didn't have a great day. Their defense kind of getting run over. Although let's be fair, they played.
Go ahead.
But they've played the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and no Devontae Adams, but still, and then they played Mike Evans and Godwin. So they haven't played the easiest schedule right now. Those are 2 very good. They can at least throw the ball.
Passing to his elite talent would rather just throw it to his 6th string named Jamarco Buttboy that nobody knows, and then his 5th string Booger McButthole over his top 2 receivers. I don't get it. I get he wants to spread the ball, but you also need to use your playmakers at the same time too.
I don't need to see Taysom Hill that much either. What are you doing?
Do you want to show that he can do it all?
He can't do anything. He fumbled. What? Why?
They're preparing the Saints after this year.
Oh my gosh!
They're giving the reins to Jameis Winston. That's what I hope. That's what I want.
Honestly,
that's what I want.
I don't want to see Taysom Hill. I don't want to see why. What did he? Did he marry into that Sean Payton family? Why is he playing so much?
He is an athletic guy. You got to give him that.
Isn't he 30 to also? He's not young.
He knows his role, okay? He's like a player being off the bench as the 6th man, all right?
Hold on to the ball, dude. You don't get a lot of snaps. You better hold on to that football.
He's a fan of the Rock. He knows his role and he shuts his mouth.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into the Seahawks Week 4 matchup, which is against the 1-2 Miami Dolphins. Now, the Seahawks only played the Dolphins twice in the last decade. The first meeting was in 2012, and the Dolphins won that one 24-21 in Miami. The quarterback was Ryan Tannehill. Bet you can't guess the running back on the team. Anybody have a guess? Anybody?
Ricky Williams.
No.
Oh, it was hold on.
A Pac-12 running back, if that helps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was
best.
It was Reggie Bush.
And
Marshawn Lynch was our running back, and the leading receiver. Let's see if you guys will recognize this name. Golden Tate was the leading receiver in that game, and Sidney Rice had 3 catches for 49 yards. So there's a little throwback there. But the most recent meeting was a 12-10 Seahawks victory in Seattle in 2016. And that was also Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position with Arian Foster at running back for the Miami Dolphins. So
that seems very Pete Carroll-like score.
Yep.
Yes, it was. It had a couple Stephen Hauschka field goals, and then Doug Baldwin caught a 2-yard pass from Russell Wilson to win the game, essentially.
What if we had let Russ cook? I don't know.
That's what I've been telling people ever since the 2015 season when all our backs died. And we saw Doug Doug go for like he had 14 touchdowns that season.
Yeah.
And
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Jeez.
And the quarterback is none other than Ryan Fitzmagic, and he does have some history taking on the Seahawks as a member of the Buffalo Bills in 2012. He lost that game 50-17.
Because the Bills were terrible.
Yeah, and then the next year he was playing for Tennessee, and they
Who
were
was
in
terrible.
Seattle, and they lost 20-13. And then the last time they met was in 2016, and he was a member of the New York Jets, and the Seahawks won that
Who
game
were
in New
always
York,
terrible.
27-17. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is 0-3 against the Seahawks in his career, but as we all know, he's got that magic. He was able to defeat one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, Gardner Minshew, last week. So it's going to be quite the test for the Seahawks secondary going against the Harvard graduates. So, Sean, what do you think about this matchup? And, Seahawks have trouble traveling east. We all know that, although it hasn't been the case necessarily in recent years. But, Sean, what do you think of this matchup?
I think the Miami Dolphins are a little better than I kind of thought going into the year. They are one caught interception away from being 2-1, but who hit the receiver hit the DB in both hands. With that said, they still don't have a ton of talent. Like Glowinski is a very good tight end. Parker's very good. Gaskin's playing okay, but it's going to have to be Fitzmagic doing a lot of things. And with that bad O-line and really no other weapons, I don't see how they put up enough to keep up with Russell. Their offense is not good enough to put up enough points against our bad defense to keep up with Russell dropping a 38 burger on him.
I was kind of I don't want to be mean to Fitzpatrick, but I was kind of hoping they'd be 0-3 and we'd see Tua. I feel like that would give me a little bit more ease going up against them, against a rookie quarterback in his first game. But Ryan Fitzpatrick can give us nightmares, and he showed it last week that he can still sling it with the best of them and pick up some yards and score some touchdowns. So I see another high-scoring game. I hope it's more Falcons game script than the other two. But, Kevin, what do you see in this one?
Well, the reason why Ryan Fitzmagic is going to drop 45 points against us is because of this right here, the beard magic.
Oh, my gosh.
God, if he drops 45 points on us, Pete Carroll needs to be ashamed.
Half the defense needs to be cut.
Honestly.
Oh, my God.
They have some okay talent on weapon-wise, as Sean Murray mentioned, and Fitzpatrick has wheels. Like, he led them in rushing last year. Like, it's not something to scoff at. Like, he can run the ball a little bit.
Well, that was just how bad Miami was last year, I think.
But, I mean, like, play action with Gaskin and stuff like that, he could probably throw some teams off and get, like, 5 yards, on a couple of runs. Or, like, if it's, like, a 3rd and 2, like, and they do a play action, it's, he could surprise on a couple of plays possibly. I don't think they're going to do it because they don't want him to die because he's getting old and they don't want that beard to get, scuffled up or anything. But overall, I think even with the injuries, this should be a bye week for the Seahawks. You should let the people that need a rest, and just let the young people come up and play and just kind of see what you got, so to speak. Because as long as Russell's behind center, Russell's going to probably drop at minimum 35 points or more on that team. Yeah, I think this should be an easy win, and I think you should let whoever needs to rest for Sunday Night Football against the Vikings, even though we'll get that next week. That should be easy, but it probably we'll get
well, I don't know about resting guys. Maybe for Chris Carson, who got gator rolled, maybe you rest that knee one more week. But I don't think you're going to take the Dolphins lightly.
I don't say you should, but Chris Carson, if Jamal Adams is kind of borderline, I would not play him because you don't need him. I would say probably start Lance Dunbar if he's feeling good. But if there's guys that are question mark borderline, like if it was, don't play him. If it was like the Packers and we need it, then yes, you would want to play it if it was that type of game. But I think Russell has the ability to dump on that so poor of a defense, especially that doesn't have Byron Jones at this moment.
Yeah.
Who's their best corner? Like Tyler and DK. Like if people out there, if you have Tyler or DK, you need to play the
Byron Jones didn't even play last week for them. He's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt, and I believe he probably will be hurt for this game as well. Like DK and Tyler should have a day.
You should need a 50% Jamal Adams to beat the Dolphins. You should not need that.
Exactly.
I will agree with that statement, but at the same time, this feels like it's setting up for a Michigan Appalachian State type deal, and we cannot take the Dolphins.
Yes, but
lightly.
that's why you pay one guy $30 million to not let that happen.
I mean, I have
now. I would say if we were
Russell in this, but
team of not letting Russ cook, then yes, you would. But with Russ cooking, I believe you don't need him because Russell is going to pretty much every drive put 7 points.
He should, yeah.
This is true.
He should. I mean, there's going to be one or two plays. They're going to try to establish the run just to keep balance and stuff like that. Like you saw in the first play with the first drive against Dallas was stupid. It was pointless. But they're like, we got to try to keep a balance, establish the run a little bit. And
can I say Aldon Smith looks pretty good though? Kind of forgot about that, but he has shown up the last 2 weeks.
He does look good. Yeah.
Like I said, that front four for them is crazy. Like, and that's why I called it. I said Russ is going to be sacked.
A couple of those were Russell though, just like freaking out.
Yeah,
True.
and like I said, that's Russell's thing. Like when he's in the pocket and he sees it close, it's kind of like, because he has that Pete Carroll thing in his mind, like, thank you. Like when he should just go
full Gollum there
and run the ball. Like exactly, but
that's Pete.
It's in the back of his mind of Pete just thrilling him like eye to eye, like don't you turn that ball over, like don't
do it.
I feel like Pete is Sauron and then Russ is Gollum in this metaphor. No, I'm overthinking.
Russ can't be Gollum.
Why can't he be Gollum?
Gollum doesn't work for Saruman.
Okay,
they don't want the same thing.
That's true. They don't. That's true. Okay.
Russ is Frodo. He's taking to the volcano. He's
carrying this Seahawks team, kicking and screaming all the way to the Super Bowl.
And Bobby Wagner is Sam, who's the real hero here, but he doesn't get any credit.
And that rest of that defense is Gollum, who's being a little whiny baby the entire time. And he's going to carry them kicking and screaming all the way to the mountain. Because that's how they're playing like.
All right, we're getting weird here, folks.
And I think DK is Aragorn because he's just got a king mentality. But anyway, go ahead.
To wrap it all up, the fact that Russ is cooking, I don't think you need to play borderline injured players. Let them rest because you have a more important matchup against a Vikings team that's kind of starting to wake up a little bit. That you're going to
they're pissed too. They are not going to keep.
They're hungry.
Yeah.
They should be more than what their record is, and they want to prove it. And they're going to try to prove it against us. So you want your big star players against.
I'm glad to see another team is being Pete Carroll-like and we're just ignoring analytics and going backwards as an organization because that's what Minnesota's doing. Everything that people are like, hey, you should do this. This is what the smart thing is to do. Minnesota's like, no, that's dumb. We're doing the opposite, and it's not working out for them at all.
We're 0-3. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Why?
You should run play action. Throw it to Adam Thielen and your guys. No, okay. You invested in a guy. Oh, he caught 7 passes for 180 yards and a touchdown in the second half. Should have started throwing it to him earlier.
And they're like, oh, we lost Diggs in the offseason, but we drafted a really good receiver in the first round, but we're not going to throw it.
I don't. Yeah.
What are you doing?
And then they needed points, and he went off, and you're like, wow, he's pretty good.
He is Diggs, but he is decent enough to where you can still run and Thielen's good enough to where you can still run enough passes.
Jefferson looks really good right now.
And Jefferson's on my bench, so I'm very happy about that.
Now Rudolph is 32, and he's a man.
Wait, that's got to be 40. You got to be 40.
Sorry,
you got to be 40 to be a man.
40. Sorry.
Oh man, I'm 40.
All right, well let's go over the rest of the NFC West here. First, I just want to point out, I think you guys can go ahead and make Thursday night plans. It's Denver at the Jets this week, so I think you could probably make some plans for Thursday.
America
night.
Loses that game.
And if you have a fantasy player in that game, who do you have?
You're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know who you could have.
Over under combined points between both teams as it get above 15.
No, it will because both teams also don't play defense.
That's true.
But it looks like Brett Rippon will get the start for the Broncos, former Boise State guy. So,
Not the Driscoll kid?
well, Driscoll,
it's
they didn't he get hurt during the game, or did they pull him? I don't know, one of the two. But Rippon finished the game.
Yeah, it's just, and then Sam Darnold just can't do anything right now. Like,
Well,
it's just
Well, this might be a tank for Trevor's season, right?
I want to see him without Adam Gase, like holding that man down, because like we saw what Tannehill did once he was out under Adam Gase's thumb of "you will suck." Like he's
also Saruman, man.
For some reason, I can see this happening with like Army men for Adam Gase. Like you will.
His two main weapons of Crowder and Perryman are both been hurt too, so he's like throwing to nobody, and his offensive line has 4 new pieces that suck. But
I'm pretty sure Adam Gase formulates plans with Army men, Matthew. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
I think so. I would like to see that personally, but
I want it just before like everybody just gets Sam Darnold out of the league, just because we've seen of Tannehill and his resurgence in Tennessee. I want to see Darnold without Adam Gase just drowning him. Like, please.
A lot of the quarterback is the head coach, Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll.
All right, so rest of the division. We got one other NFC West foe playing at 10 a.m. next Sunday, and that is the Arizona Cardinals going to take on the Carolina Panthers, who are not looking good, but could certainly win that game. And then they could win that game. And at 1 o'clock, the Giants will go to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I think we know how that one's going to play out. And then on Sunday Night Football, the Eagles will go to San Francisco to try and defeat the injury-depleted 49ers. Based on what we've seen in the last few weeks, I don't know how that's going to go, except for I think it's going to go pretty badly for the Eagles.
The 49ers are getting more healthy as it goes, too.
This is true. I mean, looking at those 3 games, is the NFC West undefeated next week?
I would hope so.
The only one I could see would be the Cardinals, because even with Christian McCaffrey, like Teddy Bridgewater is still a decent quarterback, and their weapon, they're starting to get the throwing game going a little bit more.
It's more of what Arizona shows up. If good Arizona shows up, I don't think there's any way Carolina can win. Yes. But if bad Arizona shows up, then it could be a close game, and it could be a 1-score game.
I think that Carolina is going to have a little bit more of a renewed sense of urgency. I mean, especially with a new quarterback and no Christian McCaffrey, they've been kind of piecing it together. I think they get together this week and give the Cardinals a game. Now, I don't think they win the game, but I think they're going to look a lot better. And Teddy Bridgewater is better than people give him credit for. I think that's probably fair to say. Now, granted,
they just don't.
Should they have got rid of Cam Newton? I don't know.
They have some weapons there, but I don't know if they have enough around Teddy really especially with no Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if they have enough around him to beat a team like this right now.
True, but I think Teddy will get it together. I don't think they're going to be bottom of that division.
But like they'll keep it somewhat competitive. If good,
like a 10-point game, like something like that.
Yeah, if good Arizona shows up, they'll be behind by like a touchdown to 10 points for most of the game. If bad Arizona shows up, it's going to be like
field goal. Yeah, like a field goal game
between them. So that's what I
can see that.
But Carolina will, because the Arizona still has some defensive kind of things going on. I think Carolina is still going to score at least 2 touchdowns plus.
Yeah, because Arizona's defense isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not like what we're dealing with here, but it's not good.
Well, let us know what you think. Leave us some comments. Tweet at us. Put some in the comments. I am at Beatty_Matt on Twitter. Sean, what are you on Twitter?
I am at Sean_Beatty.
Kevin, what's your Twitter handle?
At the Naughty Farmer.
You just need to like be a Beatty as well, or something like that. Like put it in your name.
Or Beatty.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Tweet at us. Leave some comments on YouTube. Tell us what you think. Give us your Seahawks takes. Give us your NFC West takes.
You can just ask me if you want.
I would not do that. It's a bad idea.
Just ask me.
I have 30 years of experience. Kevin, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, did we give our final scores?
Oh, we didn't give our predictions. That's a good point.
Yeah,
So
okay.
let's give our Dolphins Seahawks predictions. I will go ahead and start this one. I think it's gonna be a comfortable win, and I think it's gonna be nervous in the first half, honestly. But I think they pull away in the second half. So I'm gonna go 33-20 Seahawks. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, it would just kind of depend, just because I know this defense is not, and they're going to be resting some people. I think they're going to kind of put. I think it's going to be where the Dolphins are going to still score some points, but they're going to, like I said in the Arizona game, they're going to be like 10 behind. So I'm going to see Russ not letting off the gas, and I'll say the Seahawks are going to score 38 points,
That's what I was gonna say.
and the Dolphins will be at 27.
Okay, so you guys are saying all these points. 6-3 Seahawks. No,
We're going to
no.
Cleveland.
We're going Cleveland Browns game. No,
Oh man!
I'll say 38-21. It's a comfortable win. It is a comfortable win.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Seahawks have scored 38, 35, and 38. So I guess I'm on the low end compared to
Their
everybody
teams,
else.
the other, what do the opponents now?
I'll say this should be
Oh, sorry. 25, 30, and 31.
Yeah, there we go.
a big game, like what we kind of felt in the first one, where we should not be stressed the whole time.
Yes,
This
yeah.
should be a game where we should feel comfortable, even when like Dolphins score, to where we know that Russell's just going to just throw it down the throats. So
Just let them cook, baby.
Let them cook.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is all we have on episode 5 of Washington East to West Sports. Let us know what your thoughts are on the Seahawks this week. Go ahead and tweet at us. Go ahead and leave some comments in there. We will be back a little bit later than we have been on. We usually record on Mondays, but, this is going to go up on Tuesdays. So, you guys aren't paying attention anyway. It doesn't matter. We're going to be weekly, and you'll see us every week. So, if you're paying attention at all, we'll be doing the episodes a little bit later. So, watch out for those then. But until next time on Washington East to West Sports.